how you do it, a lot of different ways. But as long as you do those three little parts, you can do it. You can get to those any different ways and be successful. I mean, you can talk about all the hitters back in the days and that side of it. But that's what I think they really lack, is the understanding of, okay, this guy hits this way, but, and he's successful, so I got to hit this way. It's not about how he is hitting, but what did he do to get to that part to hit? Even the fielding side of things, he can make these great plays, but what did he do to get to that? What did he work on to get to it? Is he putting himself in those roles?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clearing the Bases, the podcast where we step up to the plate and dive deep into the world of youth baseball. I'm your host, Jimmy Filangieri. On this show, we discuss all things related to the preparation and development of youth baseball players, coaches, and yes, even parents. So sit back, settle in, and get ready to hear from some of the greatest baseball minds out there.
Cary, North Carolina came along, and the home of the USA, and so now I'm over there and, get to see Freddie Freeman and Mike Moustakas. I'll tell you, Moustakas was probably one of my favorites. We were in Joplin, and his team was winning because, there's a little bracket play at the end. He played for the gold medal and all that. And he jumps over the railing to celebrate his team scoring a run, just like he did at the World Series with the Royals.
Oh, wow.
And then as soon as he did it, it just instantly brought back the Joplin, Missouri days of when he did that.
To be able to reach the highest levels of this game, you got to work hard. You got to get in the cages. You got to do your strength and conditioning. You got to throw your bullpens. There's all of this physical stuff that you need to do, and you need to work hard at it. But don't forget that you also have to get better at the mental side of the game. And one of the ways you can do that is increase baseball IQ by downloading and using the 6-Tool app.
For baseball coaches like you, every game brings measurable progress. However, game time isn't the time for trial and error learning. Instead, have a proactive approach. Use 6-Tool, the best baseball player development tool on the market. We provide a platform to level up your coaching strategy by helping you to quickly identify and address your players' knowledge of the game. By using our easy-to-implement interactive player quizzes, you can assess position-specific issues, overall baseball IQ, and much more. Win more games and develop better overall baseball players with effective off-the-field training. Visit us at 6-tool.com. 6-Tool. Get ahead in the game.
Today's guest is Brett Ratcliffe, the head baseball coach at Trine University, where he took over the Thunder baseball program in 2024 after serving as an assistant coach with the program since 2020. He brings more than 2 decades of coaching experience to the collegiate level. Before becoming Trine's head coach, he spent 20 years coaching high school baseball, including successful tenures at Garrett, DeKalb, and Homestead high schools. His teams captured conference and tournament championships, and he earned a reputation for developing players, particularly pitchers and catchers. In addition to his school coaching experience, he has worked extensively with USA Baseball as a scout, evaluator, and a coach. He served as the pitching and catching coach for the USA Baseball 14U national team, helping the United States win a gold medal at the 2009 Pan American Championships in Ecuador and a bronze medal in 2010 in Nicaragua. As a player, Ratcliffe competed collegiately at Purdue University before finishing his career at IPFW, Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. He later signed a professional contract with the Richmond Roosters of the Frontier League before transitioning into coaching. Coach Ratcliffe is also known for his passion for player development, strong baseball fundamentals, and commitment to building championship culture. He continues to lead Trine University with a focus on developing student athletes both on and off the field. Coach Ratcliffe, welcome to Clearing the Bases.
All right, thank you, Jimmy. It's an honor to be here today.
You know, one of the things that I always say about, you know, having guests on, I love the ability to meet new people and, you know, like find out what makes you tick. So let's start with your background. Give everybody a little bit of an idea of how you evolved to become the head coach at Trine University.
Well, I'm just going to be entering my 31st year of coaching. I started off at college, Division II. I went into being an assistant in high school here in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area. And then I went north a little bit and to be a head coach at a small school called Garrett, and that's where I reside currently. And went to be an assistant again after being a head coach at a school. Got an opportunity to go back to the college side in 2012 and 13 here at Trine underneath Coach Greg Persky, which had just retired here after 25 years. And went back to being a head coach in high school and to be able to coach my boys, and had an opportunity to come back here at Trine to be an assistant with Coach Persky in his final years in 2019. And then when he retired, became the head coach here just 2 years ago, and then 25-26 season. Just finished 2 years of that. So in that time frame, I was very fortunate and got some things to do in the amateur side, and kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you spent a lot of time, I guess we'll say, honing your craft at the high school level before you really jumped up to the college level. You know, there was a little stint in there, but you kind of went back and forth a little bit. And it interests me because that's pretty much my route the same way. High school, and then this past year I just became an assistant college coach. So what would you say, like, is that a good way, do you think, to become a head coach at college? Or is it more beneficial to, like, come up through the college ranks? What do you think?
Well, for me, it really helped on the aspect of being an assistant at a couple different times, being a head coach, and then taking to be an assistant in the college side. I had head coach experience, and so I was able to, organize things that, when coach needed something, he said, okay, take the infielders or take the catchers, whatever I was in charge of those years. It was easy for me to make a transition, and he trusted me. And because I'd had that head coach experience and ran teams and ran practices, it was easy to do and make that transition for him. So I definitely think the coaching styles of today, it really helps being in the high school ranks, because you get to see the development, you get to see where they were, where they're coming from. Being at a smaller school, I was at a bigger school also as an assistant. I've had players where I've coached that have been drafted, and seen where kids were just, they were just good high school baseball players, and that was it.
So do you feel that, let's put it this way, that maybe high school baseball is more development based than college is, even though I know college has a development component to it, but we're trying to develop players in high school, correct?
Absolutely. There's no doubt. I mean, you are, I was fortunate at a smaller school where I was at. It was a community. And so I really dug deep into the youth program. So I was down with the 7 and 8 year olds and developing into the league to go all the way up to help. When it got to the high school side, we still had kids developing. We were still not just fine tuning. I think in the college side, you fine tune the kids. You're still developing. There's still a lot of progress to come, because those late blooming kids that get there, which is phenomenal in some of these guys. But on the high school side, man, you're just still all those little things. You just keep coaching and teaching, and probably the teaching part is so much more in the high school side than it is in the college side.
Yeah. I know that I would work out my freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors all together, because I felt that the freshmen were the foundation of the program. So if we can let them see what it's going to be like when they do get to varsity, well, then it's going to be, they're going to develop that much better. What do you think?
Well, Jim, you made a great point. Not just is it getting them ready, but if all of a sudden that freshman kid or sophomore kid is maybe your number two guy, but he has to play, he's playing JV or the freshman team, and now all of a sudden your starter goes down and he gets hurt. Now he knows all of your lingo. He hears everything. The other teammates knows what he can do, and he can step right in and play. I literally have had that happen, a handful of times in my career of coaching, that I was on the bus trip home and called the kid that was on JV and said, "Hey, you're coming with varsity tomorrow. We had a kid get hurt tonight, and you're coming. By the way, you're starting too, by the way," because he was ready. He was the next man up for us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I don't understand why more coaches don't do it that way. It's so important to, don't get me wrong, your juniors and your seniors are the ones that are probably going to win your ball games in high school. But, man, if you don't work with those freshmen and sophomores, then you're going to struggle when they get, when they climb that ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always had it when of all the teams I've been around, we've practiced together. And so I really, there was a few years there we did when I was a young assistant. And when I became the head coach, I always vouched that we will always practice together. And we did. And even here at the college level, I mean, we're going from 28 to 32 kids in a program at high school level to I have 75 in our program here. And we all practice together. We have a development team, so we play JV games. We brought guys up throughout the year. We have guys that go back down and play. So as far as that goes, our pitchers, they're doing bullpens together. Our pitching coaches are with them. Our infield coaches are with all of our infielders. Our outfield coach with we're doing drills all together. Our catchers are with our catching coach. We're all doing things together. We do team stuff together. So they all keep hearing it and they all keep working out. And then we can see them side to side and they can see each other. They can judge to see where they're at and how much, developing they're getting or how much more they need.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So I want to get into that a little bit. With that many players, what kind of problems does that present to you? Because, I mean, if you're a player, okay, and you say, you know what, I'm going to go to Trine, I'm going to be on a baseball team, but you're number 70 on that list and you're going to be playing JV. I mean, how does that work?
Well, every kid we recruit them that they can come in and compete for a spot. Even our returning kids have to earn their numbers back. The neat part about that is the fact that, the last 2 years and, we're getting ready to get them back on campus here in the next 3 weeks. And we'll start right after Labor Day again. And, the same speech will go again to those upperclassmen returners that, hey, you've got to earn your number. And the nice part about it, the last 2 years, we've had a starting shortstop for 2 years, 3 years now. And, after 2 years, he was still the guy diving after balls during BP. He was setting the tone to the freshmen to say, hey, if you want to beat me out, this is how good you have to be. And so he was showing them. He was then in return, him and the returning second baseman are teaching our incoming kids, hey, this is how we do it here at Trine. This is how we do double cuts. This is how we do our turn and two. This is our positioning in this situation when there's a guy in this position. Our senior, our outfielder, he was in all conference as a junior. He's the one diving for balls in the outfield. He's also talking communication, gaps in and out with our incoming kids. So the upperclassmen are also being leaders. We're teaching leadership, and they're displaying leadership when we're at practice because we do everything game speed when we're at practice. So all of our different stations that we rotate around to, it's game speed. And those upperclassmen, the returners guys, they know it. And if we're not doing it, then I'll let them know.
So I love that because I guess what it does is it gives those players that are not on your roster, let's say, it gives them that brass ring to reach for. It's like, hey,
Hmm.
if I work hard enough when I do what I'm supposed to do, that maybe I can get to that. And I think we need more of that than just handing things to people. Let them work for it, and good things will happen.
Yeah, and I get, recruits come on campus and I tell them that we have anywhere from 6 to 9 freshmen that are actually on our top 36 the last 2 years, and they're surprised. And I'm like, no, we play the best. Like, you work hard. We had a freshman last year. It was 3 weeks to go in the season. The senior gets hurt, and he gets entered in because he's our backup, and he'd been a courtesy runner, a bench runner for us. A little bit of play here and there. Went back down on the development team, got some live at bats, and he got an opportunity. Now we couldn't take him out
Yeah,
because he was doing so good for us.
yeah,
So he was now a starter, 2 out of the 3 games at our conference series the last 3 weekends, and so the senior, got a little opportunity back, but it was still one of those things that freshman got that opportunity because he just kept working hard.
yeah. I mean, that's the name of the game, right?
Yeah.
So you had said something that hit home with me. You said, and I'm probably not going to say it exactly the way you did, but you said about this is how we do things, or this is how we do this. So I always say that a program's culture is basic. It's very simple. It's how we do things. So, how would you say, first of all, define your culture, and then let me know if it changed any way from, like, say, high school to your college.
Well, our culture is, I make things simple. Um, and there's always a time and place. Nobody comes out, whether you're in practice, whether you're in a game, you want to fail. And so that. How you approach them and how you handle it. I've always said, if you're going to say something to a player after an error or a strikeout, you better make sure you either show them how to do it correctly or tell them how to do it correctly.
Yeah,
And that's been our philosophy as a coaching staff. If you're going to yell at them, you're going to say something, you better make sure you're telling them how to do it or show them how to do it when you're done. And so with that approach, conversations happen, and you don't have yelling and screaming like some places happen. And now you get a response because at the college level, I've really, one of the biggest things I think I've learned, and I think I took it more out of the late high school side of when the second, third stint I was there, was if you treat, especially in college here, if you treat these guys to be young men, then they become young men. If you treat them to be kids, treat them as kids, they stay kids. And that's one of the big things I've really learned with the college side now is these guys are becoming young men, and it's pretty neat to see their growth, not just on the field as men, but also off the field. And now they're getting married and things like that. So that's been pretty neat to see.
yeah, yeah. I love that. I mean, you had talked about maybe getting on a player or having to yell at a player, and I mean, last year one of the assistant coaches was, getting on a player, and he was yelling at him, and he was a young coach, and I went over to him. I said, "Come here." I said, "Did we teach him what you're yelling at him about?" So he goes, "Well, no." So I said, "How are you going to yell at him? It's not his
Right.
fault. We have to teach him." So to your point, you can't get on a kid and try and hold him accountable for something that you failed to do.
Right. And that's, I take notes during the game, and I'll write things down. And just because then I want to be able to go back afterwards and say, okay, did we go over this or did we not? Because right then and there, I've got to think, okay, real quick, did we or didn't? And when did we? Did we do it in the fall? Did we do it in the winter? What time of the year was it? Did we just talk about it, or how was it? And so, that's been a big thing. I don't talk a lot after the game. We talk very minimal. We talk the next day because it gives us time as coaches to reflect on our things we did well, things we need to work on. It gives the players the same thing, and we give them an opportunity to speak the next day. And that's been really, really big for our kids to speak together, to us, and having that open door policy. The next day, in between classes, we may have a kid or two that will walk in and say, "Coach, I didn't understand this part. I failed at it. What should I do different, or how should I do it?" And then all of a sudden now, it's that conversation we were going to do later on. Now we've got a little more insight from the player side.
Yeah, yeah. And I really think that that's really important about taking notes. And something else that you said, which I think is really, really important. And I think that this is something that as we, as coaches, climb the ladder, we learn this. Okay. So you said it, after a game, you don't talk much. I don't either. Okay. As a matter of fact, I'll probably talk to them more when we win than if we lose. I'll have something to say to them, but I think that, to your point, number one, they feel bad already that they lost. Why are you going to beat them up? If you're going to
Right.
beat them up, you know, do what you have to do at practice tomorrow. There's no reason to do that right after the game and make them feel
Yeah,
worse.
exactly.
So,
Yeah, and for us, at the college side right now, we've got families that drive in from 3 hours, 6 hours, whatever, and hey, I'm a family person. We talk family. So in order to talk family, you have to, respect them too. And so with that being said, we know a lot of them will want to go out to eat, they want to hang out, they want to talk. Maybe they haven't seen them in 2 weeks or whatever that may be. And so it's family time. And because you know what, I get to go home every night to my family, and so they get to see their family every now and then. And so I always say, okay, it's always going to be short and sweet. So a little bit, we try to teach them that side, that family is important. On with that, leaving them go a little bit early, not talking too much.
yeah. Yeah, it was. I'm glad you used that word. It was something that I was talking to, kids that I was recruiting, recently, and that's one of the things that I hammered home with them was that you come here and play, it's going to be like a family. We're all going to
Mm.
be like a family. That's the way I want it, and that's the way it'll be. Um,
Yeah.
so let's talk about recruiting a little bit. So, let's face it, Division III baseball has become really, really competitive, and it's going to get worse. I shouldn't
Yes,
I
it
shouldn't say
is.
worse. It's going to get better. It's going to get more competitive. So, what are you looking in for, in your recruits beyond, what's obvious?
Well, at D3, obviously you don't have your athletic money. So number one, it has to be you have to look at your academics. So for us here at Trine University, we are an engineering school. Then a business, exercise science is starting to become big. So we look at engineers. I always my points in recruiting is no matter where you go, it has to you have to have the major. That's number one. Financially, that university has to be set for you and your parents. You're going to make an investment. When you're going Division III, college itself today, it's an investment because you got to go to a place. We're very fortunate. We're 99 point something percent job placement here at Trine, which means we are, our guys are coming in. They're walking out with jobs, and that's great. That's the number one thing that we try to stress here on that side of it. And then we're looking at the talent side. Those years of those guys that used to be in the 77 to 80 range, those are now the 80 to 84s in Division IIIs. Those are your low end guys. Now you're in the mid eights and the upper eights. We're looking at kids that could fit into our program. We want these recruits to come in campus. Our guys kind of talk with them a little bit. We love it when they come to our prospect camp because they eat lunch with our players. Our players, are there around camp and get to meet them a little bit and talk. So our players will come back and say, "Hey, coach, that kid will fit in." Or if we think somebody, we really want to know more about his character, then we're going to say, "Okay, hey, tell me about him. How was he at lunch?" And then they'll tell us. I mean, they're honest. So that's the neat part on that. So we kind of look at that character, and then obviously, like I said, the backside part is, hey, I call it bonus baseball when you're at the D3 level because one and two, if you're worried about your major, you're worried about your financial side, baseball is probably not going very well for you, and you're looking to leave or go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so true. So, what would you say that a lot of high school players, what kind of mistakes do they make during the recruiting process?
Sometimes I don't think they really are realistic with themselves. That's the biggest part. I don't think they're realistic what D3 is about. I don't think they're realistic what Division II is about. D1 is itself. Let's be honest. I got a lot of friends that coach at D1. I have had seen players that I've said, "Hey, this kid, you need to go after him. He's a D1 kid. He's not going to come to me. Okay, go get him." Um, and so, with that being said, the parents and the kids of today, they're not realistic all the way. They need to get out and really see what Division III baseball. And if you're in the Midwest, from the Illinois over to Pennsylvania and up, there are so many Division III NAIA schools that for people just to go watch within 2 hour drive, go watch it. I mean, it's some really good baseball. I mean, you had coach from Denison on. I mean, that's national champion right here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So that's how good the baseball is in this whole, really the D3 across the board is really strong. NAIA is really strong. So, I mean, in Indiana, we had Taylor University, which was the NAIA runner-ups. And so, there it is in Tennessee. I think they were the national champions in NAIA. Again, you're talking some small college in, the belt here in the Meridian and that whole area, the Ohio Valley. It's there.
Yeah.
So we're starting. I mean, we are starting to get kids outside of just this little Midwest area. I think we had 9 different states represented here on my team. We had up to 11. We are getting kids now from the Tennessee area that's interested have come to us. A couple Floridas, they're starting to reach out. Granted, there's a lot of good schools there in the Tennessee and Kentucky area too. So, we've been pretty fortunate to get those kids up here. But you talk about that just across the Ohio and Indiana and Wisconsin. I mean, there's some really good schools. When I talk schools, not just baseball, but also schools too. But for here, we feel we're one of the tops here at Trine as far as our academics go, and that speaks for itself there to bring them on. And you got to fit in with us at the team. With us changing our culture, you talked about our culture. We're changing that to say more of the we instead of me, and because that's kind of how it had been. And yeah, we haven't done everything we've wanted. We have done. We started in the classroom, and that'll all carry over.
Yeah, and I like what you said about starting to get players in from all over the place. Something that really, really interests me or opened my eyes, I'll say, is when I was recruiting, the program I'm in hasn't been very good. As a matter of fact, it's been very bad. And I couldn't get local kids. Now, typically at junior college, you're going to get all kids that are very local. I
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, Coach, I was getting kids. I recruited kids from Virginia, from Texas, from way upstate New York. I was talking to kids from Florida, Arizona. I got a kid coming from Arizona. Um, just it's amazing the way this whole thing is starting to evolve into something totally different than it's historically been.
Yeah, that's definitely because Northeast Indiana here, because we're right in the corner where we're right with Michigan and Ohio there. And so we have not gotten a lot of, baseball players from that Northeast Indiana area until this last couple of years. And I think we're up to almost 10 to 12 people that's on our roster, which we were probably 6 or 8 maybe at the most ever in the last few years prior. So we really reached out to that area because it is in their backyard. And it's a really good education, and those we had some really good players. So we're finally starting to get them in. Now we're getting more interest of kids wanting to come up to us and play and go to school here. So that's been a big turnaround for us. They're seeing that part change. And even we're still getting the same areas as before in the Michigan area and the Chicagoland area, the Indianapolis area, and even over towards the Cleveland and in the Pittsburgh, we're still getting those guys. So it's still neat to see that we're still getting guys from that area, but now we're finally starting to get some kids.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Like I said, it's just to me, it's amazing within the last 5 years how much everything has changed, and
mhm.
it's really, really interesting. I mean, there are times where, and you kind of touched on it a little bit before about talking about the different levels and how people don't understand how competitive D3 baseball is. I was just having a conversation just yesterday with another coach who was talking about opening up a facility. And he was saying, if I can just get two or three D1 players to come through my facility, da 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 da. And I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to put the brakes on right there. I said, because that's not your bread and butter. I said, you know as well as I do, those players are rare. Okay, so
Yeah.
what you want to do is you want to get as many D3 and JUCO players to run through your facility because they're more prevalent. What do you think?
I agree with that, and that's where we've got a couple of local facilities too, and they kind of did that same thing. And some of the guys that are running it played pro ball, and they went to that. They went to those D3 NAIA guys. That's who they brought in.
Yeah.
They realized that the breed of the D1 or the pro guys is very rare, and they went down to that side to help those kids get into a JUCO, to get into a D3, to get into an NAIA. And that's what a lot of respect and start talking with them about their development. And like one of them had said, and granted, again, he'd played pro ball, and one of the parents came in and was upset with him because the kid never got to see a live arm that day. Well, the kid he needed to develop. And in the swing, he had to break it down, and he brought it all the way up, from the tee and stuff like that. And finally, the instructor said, "Hey, this is how I do it. It's a process. Hitting is a process, and we need to develop this. Now, hopefully next time he keeps working, and we're going to get to that point where you want him to be, but we weren't there yet. So if this is what you don't want, but the process and us developing, then don't bring him back here. We've got three more here in town. You can go over there to them. That's okay." And so the kid came back, by the way,
Yeah.
and the parent respected that. And I liked how we have facilities in our area here that our kids, and that's why we're going after those kids that are some of those guys in that facility locally now. They're coming to play smalls. They're playing the NAIAs, the D3s around that Fort Wayne area where we have so many different schools right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's important. And something else that you said about what that coach did or what that trainer did is he was brutally honest, and I love that.
He was.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
why are you going to sugarcoat it? I mean, some guys may try and sugarcoat it because they want to keep bringing in the revenue and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you stand for? Like you said, development is a process. There's ways to do it. If you're cutting corners, then really, what are you doing?
Very true.
So,
It's one of those that Mark Lunch McKenzie, he's out of St. Paul, Minnesota area. He was telling me a story when he was doing lessons. Finally tells his kid after three times, and the kid just wasn't doing what he was asking. Third lesson, he's finally said, "Hey, Johnny, here's the deal. I don't care whether you listen to me. I'm still going to keep putting this ball in this tee. Dad's sitting over there on that chair, and I'll keep trying. I'll keep telling you what to do. But I don't care because guess what? When I'm done here in the next 15 minutes, your dad's going to pay me $50, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in my pocket. And I don't care whether anymore, because your dad's going to pay me no matter what.
yeah.
And so if you want to continue to just do what you want or develop, and I'll help you, but otherwise, just keep doing what you're doing." And he said the next week the kid finally changed his attitude and mind, and finally came back and started listening. And he said he ended up making the high school team later on, and wasn't quite sure what he did after that, but he said he did make a pretty good career in the high school with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So
pretty.
kind of that speech, that upfront speech, kind of gave him a little turnaround.
Yeah, now Coach McKenzie is somebody I've been trying to get on the show. I got to get him on the show. Yeah, to that point, I've done when I used to give lessons. I don't do it anymore, but when I used to, I would tell a player right in front of the parent. I'd bring them both in, and I'd say, "Here's the deal. I'm going to work with you for a half hour. I'm going to give you some stuff to do. You have to go home and work on it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you come back here next week, I'm going to know immediately whether or not you worked on it, okay?" And I would tell him, I would say, if you come back and I feel that you didn't work on it, then all you're doing is you're wasting mom and dad's money. You're just going through the motions. I said, give me 15 minutes a day at home doing what we're working on, and you're going to be fine in the long run. It's going to take time, but you'll be fine.
Yeah, and you know what? From the lessons to even in the college side here, because there's times we cannot. I mean, we have our downtimes and we don't work with them, but we'll know because when they come back from Christmas break, whether they worked on things or not when they were home, we'll know when they come back,
Yeah.
and we'll know who did and who didn't when we get back to practice. And so it is one of those things that you just don't have it at lessons times. You also have it in the college side of, did the guys continue to work on things that they were weak at, and in their off time, and then when they were at home, were they doing it or not?
Yeah.
Did they work on it? And it'll be interesting when we get here in August or in September. The guys that went home for the summer, did they continue to work on things, or did they not? And because we gave them things to work on when they left us at the end of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, the way I explain it to the kids is, high school kids, even with the college kids last year, the goal is to get 1% better every day. Okay. So, and I'll ask them, I'll say, how many minutes are in the day? And obviously they don't know what it is, but I'll tell them, I'll say it's 1,440 minutes in every single day. If you're going to get 1% better, 1% of 1,440 is approximately 15 minutes. So if we're working on hitting, give me 15 minutes a day on the tee, and bang, you're going to get that 1% better every day. And, like to your point, some do it, some don't.
Right, exactly.
So, okay, so I don't know. Let's stay with the player development. Okay, you've been around a long time, so you've seen a lot of players over many years. What do you feel that players lack the most now, like when they get to you at the college level?
I think sometimes it's the basic understanding of the little things that have to be done instead of the end result. You have to, hitting, for example, there's really three simple parts. How you do it, a lot of different ways. But as long as you do those three little parts, you can do it. You can get to those any different ways and be successful. I mean, you can talk about all the hitters back in the days and that side of it. But that's what I think they really lack, is the understanding of, okay, this guy hits this way, but, and he's successful, so I got to hit this way. It's not about how he is hitting, but what did he do to get to that part to hit? Even the fielding side of things, he can make these great plays, but what did he do to get to that?
Yeah.
What did he work on to get to it? Is he putting himself in those roles? We go through drills here that we make them dive after a ball because, you normally don't get that. And so, now we've got a different facility we're going to be working in, but it's going to be so much easier now for us to do that. And that's going to be part of our drills, for us to do. So, those little fundamental drills that, when we put on camps, we talk to our youth kids about it. It's the same thing we're doing with our college kids.
Yeah.
And, you start digging into some videos and stuff. It's the same thing the pro guys are doing.
Yeah.
They're same fundamentally sound. So they're not always fundamentally ready when they get to us, or even they're lacking it in the high school, because whether the high school coaches are like, okay, we're going to just do this, and they forget about the fundamental side. That's probably one of the biggest things that I see lacking right now, is the fundamental side coming from the high school into the college side. And recruiters can tell real quick, and that's probably what we are looking for more than anything. The kid that's already fundamentally, that understands it, and even a kid that can make an adjustment. That means he's fundamentally sound as a hitter, between that 80 mile per hour fastball or a guy that ramps it up at 87. He can make that change real quick. Or the guy with that 85 that can also have that 80 or that 73 curveball. He can make an adjustment real quick, especially on his next at bat. It's like, okay, you got me this time. Guess what? Next time, here it is. And then all of a sudden he hits him the next time. Well, he made that adjustment. Yeah. And that's pretty neat to see on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then something you said, I'm gonna just accentuate it a little bit, because last year I started what I call a baseball school for 7th and 8th graders, because as a high school coach, I saw that these younger kids were not learning the fundamentals. I mean, the very simple things like, taking leads off of first base, how important it is to, hit a cutoff man, first stepping it. The very basic parts of the game weren't being taught. So I said, let me see if I can get this off the ground and work with these younger kids to help them out. And then I realized what you said. I was teaching the same things to those kids that I was the high school kids, that I was the college kids last year,
Yes.
because it's not being taught.
Mm-hmm. And that's a neat part when you have your kids. When I was doing high school camps and even the college camps, you have your kids help out and work those, and they show them the drills we do. It's like, hey, this is realistic. When we talk about this, that we're doing it at the college side, it's realistic, and these younger kids realize it. And so then when I can go see them or talk to them at another venue, or I'm a guest speaker somewhere, and I start talking about it and our college, and then all of a sudden a couple kids are there and they're all like shaking their head like, yeah, he's right, they do. There's his, Trine does do that, and so that's pretty neat to see that happening. Or the little league coaches that come into your youth camps and they're watching you, and then you get to go talk to them and you're telling them those drills and stuff, and they're confirming, yes, he's right, the college kids do these drills. We'll have just had another request again for a 12U team to come out and watch us practice and things. And so that's pretty neat to have that. We've had a high school team come by, and they set up in the stand. They watched this. They wanted to see what our infield was like. How did we do pregame, things like that. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think that's something that not enough coaches, like you said, high school guys, youth coaches don't understand. There's colleges around you. Go watch their practices, because you're going to learn something. You're going to help your kids.
You go back to what are some of the kids missing. Unfortunately, sometimes I think it's the coaches are missing it sometimes, because we'll get emails and said, I think Johnny would be a good fit for you in your program. But, Coach Joe's never seen my team play or even seen us do anything yet, but he thinks he's going to be a good fit for, and that's a lot of the things that us coaches, I really kind of say we chuckle about. And that's why it's very important. Hey, every weekend you could go live stream. You can go get on a college. You don't have to go to a game. You can get on and watch them on live stream on all different websites. Especially now with the TV the way it is. I mean, my nephew was playing Division I up at Valpo, and so when we were done, I could go watch his game on Hulu. And so, here it is, all his games on, Valpo is a very small Division I school. But guess what? It was being aired.
Yeah.
All these schools were being aired.
Yeah.
And on all these different college games. So that's the one thing. Coaches, get out there and watch these games too. Not just the kids. So then you could figure out where the fit is.
Right. Yeah. And also, something that you had said earlier, also, you'll understand the levels of college baseball a hell of a lot better if you watch it.
Yeah, yes, and I'm still a believer of in person is better, but at least you can do it on video. So you got two opportunities to watch the levels of Division III and the NAIA, and our MIAA conference is pretty strong. I mean, Adrian was in the finals, or in the Final Four this year at the World Series. So that's again, they're a very good program, and they battled week in and week out here in our conference. So
yeah, and I mean, it used to kill me, even years ago when people used to poo-poo even junior colleges. They would say, oh, I'm not playing for a junior college. I remember years ago somebody had said to me that junior college was just an extension of high school, and I almost fell on the floor laughing.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not it.
No, definitely not. Okay, so that's good stuff about development. Now I want to get to this, because this is always something that I love talking about. You've been fortunate to coach USA baseball at the national level. Okay, what did you learn from that? What did it teach you about identifying talent? How's that?
Well, you're right. I was very fortunate. met a lot of people, learned a lot. I've learned there's a lot of really good coaches throughout the United States. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Um, I guess my own experience just kind of worked it out for me to be in that position that I was. Um, but I really learned that there are some really good players all over, um, and that those kids they're so humbled when those better kids out there that really make it are so humbled out there. Um, they're the kids that they strive on getting coached. They strive on listening. They strive on getting fine tuned, and then they don't forget it. I mean, it's pretty neat about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when Brian Madsen had the 12U team. Um, was it last year or the year before? Whatever. And I was following every game, and the games were
Hmm.
on, and I was watching them. And,
Hmm.
I got to tell you something, Brett. I was shocked that those 12U kids were as talented as they. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
okay.
No, you're right, and that came in. The 12 U's came in right after. Let's see, I was with the 14, so I came in through with the 17 U's, which the 18s, back in the early 2000s, as part of the Tournament of Stars. So I was up with the next year draft choices is who I got to be around and help evaluate them and suggest this kid or that one for him to really look at and help maybe get him to the trial side. So as far as the early 2000s, how it was called Tournament of Stars, and he had the best 144 people, and it was out of Joplin, Missouri. I mean, it was the hot box of the Midwest. I mean, boy, was it hot. I mean, it was hot. That's all I can say. It was hot. So when you're coaching against the Upton boys and stuff, and you had some good kids yourself on there, the Marisnik kid, and I had him. Um, so it was neat to see that, and then Cary, North Carolina came along, and the home of the USA, and so now I'm over there, and get to see Freddie Freeman and Mike Moustakas. I tell you, Moustakas was probably one of my favorites. We were in Joplin, and his team was winning because there's a little bracket play at the end. He played for the gold medal and all that, and he jumps over the railing to celebrate his team scoring a run, just like he did at the World Series with the Royals.
Oh wow.
And then as soon as he did it, it just instantly brought back the Joplin, Missouri days when he did that. Freddie Freeman's character personality is phenomenal. Like he was just I talking to him about what if you ever made the USA team. He goes, Coach, I have a long ways to go, and he was a kid that was going to be on the team. We just knew it, and he just didn't think he had that part on it. But he says, man, there's a lot of good people out here, Coach. I just don't know if it's there. So then I got that opportunity to be with the 14U Nationals, and was the pitching and catching coach. And I did two tours with that 2 years. In '09, we won the world. Um, and Coach Dave Webb was our manager with Tanner Vesley, and Scott Gillis was the other assistant. And we were in Ecuador that year. And so we didn't, they had already coached, Coach Webb and Vesley had already coached the two previous years, I think, with the 14Us. And this year was not a good year. They did not feel like we had the players as they did in the past, but we went undefeated through that whole week. And actually, one of the notary ones is J.P. Crawford was on that team, but he was our center fielder. We had another kid that was a shortstop, Cruz Rivera, that ended up playing some pro ball, but more of a pitcher. And then JP went back to high school side, and when he got in high school, he became that shortstop. Nate Mondu is still playing in AAA with the Padres organization off that team, and there's a couple other guys we had in there play a little bit of pro ball, but not a lot. But then here came the 12 U's after all that. So that is, Jimmy, you're right. That 12U's, those kids are phenomenal out there. And, we've had even that next year in the 10, we had a couple kids come from the Little League World Series. Kiko Garcia, he was in that California team that won it and everything. And, he was on the backside of our 14U's. He was like number 17, 18 that we took. And, so it was one of those that those 12U kids can play. And, how 14s is more of a development side of things for them in the program with USA. But so, yeah, I was very fortunate to do some things with USA and evaluate them. And, even the Bryce Harper and even on, I think Jacob Turner put something out there not long ago. I was around when he was there with Mike Trout and those guys when they were around when they were 17.
So let me ask you this, because this is a question I ask everybody that's coached USA baseball. What did it feel like to put that uniform on?
Speechless.
Yeah.
You get tears. You really do. When you first do it, you look at yourself in the mirror. You take it back and you look yourself in the mirror and in the hotel room. You put the hats on, the jersey itself, and then it's got your name on the back too. But it's the front side that mattered. That was the biggest part. I mean, my first year we didn't have our names on our back. The next year, then we did. But that first year, it was just that USA right there on it, and you're really speechless, and you're just like, wow, this is unbelievable. And it doesn't. My dad was in the military, so it was a little bit where I already kind of knew, that side of it with the flag and everything. A lot of respect that way. So that didn't change much for me on it, but it was the fact that here I am now. I'm representing USA in a different way than what my dad represented USA. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have to ask that question, and believe it or not, I mean, and I know you're going to believe it, but I get the same answer pretty much from every single guy. So, I mean, that's a fantastic achievement.
It's really, I mean, you never forget it. I can tell you. I mean, I know where I was at. I know how it was, and it's one of those you never forget, and you'll always remember it. And even down the road, and you pull your jersey out and you see it, and you can remember the games of we had our that was the big time back when I was fortunate to be there. We had our gold medal blues, and that was the jersey we wore on gold medal day. And that everybody did it, and we still have our USA Gold Family hashtag that you'll see sometimes out there on Twitter. When you see it, that means everybody was a gold member, family member. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And one of the things that I talked about, I don't remember who it was with. It might have been Butch, but he was saying that making a national team for USA Baseball is harder than getting to the major leagues.
Yes, very much so. Uh, I've been on staffs that selected guys that, and this is the thing, the difference between USA and with the MLB is it's projectable. The draft is your projectable. The USA is it's got to be now. Sometimes it's within 2 weeks. Sometimes it's within 2 months. Like we got to know, like, are you going to be ready now? But in the draft, it's going to be, oh, we see you can develop, this and this for another year or two, and then we see you projected up into that round. But USA, it's very hard because I mean, you take the draft, and of all those kids, there's probably 400 kids eligible, but you're only allowed 18, 20 kids to go. So it's extremely hard to make that side. Um, like I said, I was in the time frame with Mike Trout and Trevor Bauer, and that was the year neither one of them made it.
Yeah.
And look how successful they were.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was tough. I mean, we knew they were going to be. I mean, Coach McKenzie said it to him. You're going to do well one day. You're going to do well, and just go home and keep working hard. And he did. And, now Mike's been back. He's got the USA letters on his chest. He's done it. I know that there's some conversations of another friend that he's just loves it now and respected it. And he's glad he did it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, you just summed it up because I remember them talking, and I don't remember who it was. It might have been Butch again. That I guess Butch was part of the team that cut Trout, or part of the coaching staff that cut Trout.
He was around. He was around earlier on the first part. Yes, he was. He wasn't on the final part. We were out in Phoenix that year, but he was earlier in Cary with us.
Yeah, because I remember somebody was teasing
Yeah,
him about it, and I got a kick out of that. But
yeah,
but again, like you just said, Trevor Bauer, Mike Trout, they got cut. That's insane.
yeah,
In other words, people would look at it like and say, "Well, wait a minute, that's crazy. Who was better than them?" Well, they
yeah,
might have been guys that were at that stage.
yeah, yeah. That's true. And then and the same thing with our 14s. I mean, we cut a couple kids that they made it,
Yeah,
and as they were 14s, and they just kept getting better. And of those 14 U kids, I think maybe 25% of them made it when they were 18s. So, I mean, just by that, in the next 3 years, guys got better than them because at that time we needed it now
yeah.
because we were leaving the next week. We didn't have time later. We had to take the best 18 right then to go overseas.
But I think that's really,
So,
really important too. What you just said is that some of those kids that didn't make it when they were 14, they kept coming back and they kept coming back, and then they eventually made it. I feel it. That nowadays a lot of people might just say, "Oh, I didn't make it as a 14. Okay, I'm done with that. I'm never going back." But to have that drive is impressive.
yes, there was a lot of those kids that had been on the trials. We call it the trials, and a couple years in a row, and then finally get that opportunity and make it. That was neat to see because we would know who they were. It didn't because with us staff at the top, we knew who the either 14s or 16s guys that they were at trials twice. When they were 16, or hey, this one made it. Okay, we knew it, but other guys were better, they were better. And that's how we had to look at it. And then it was, to suggest and figure out why. You had to justify too. So not just did you have to come out with some stats, but you had to kind of character wise because you got to take these kids across the seas and you got to make sure they're going to behave correctly and how are they going to act and not start a world war over there. So, but yeah, no matter what level, you had to make sure that you had the good character kids along with it, and that's where I go back to all those kids that were even in the trials area, and they were a lot humbled. There was maybe a handful every year you could say, no, that kid is not going to fit it. He doesn't fit. You could just tell sometimes. I mean, when you walk into the park, that's when kids are getting recruited today. They don't realize it. Um, just the same thing, and I learned that probably in the USA side, that as soon as they started walking into the facility, they were being recruited, and they were being scouted, they were being evaluated, and that's exactly how I've kind of taken it to my part now here at Trine is the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Don't you wish more people understood that?
I do, and I try to talk about it. And then like I said, I've been fortunate to talk to some 14 and 15 U teams, and I talk about grades number one. No matter where you're going, no matter what you're doing, grades is number one. I was fortunate to have a kid that ended up being, I think he was 56 pick overall, Rob Bowen, with Minnesota Twins. And again, he was a very high academic kid. He had 70% at LSU, so he had signed with LSU because academically and everything else they knew, hey, we better draft him high if we want him, and because they knew academically he could go and he's going to do well,
Yeah,
you know and so that's why he got drafted higher than what he probably should have, or at least other people had predicted him. And he had a good career, had
yeah,
a really good career in the bigs.
yeah,
So
yeah. It, again, all of that stuff, the intangibles, I call them all the time, and everybody on the show's heard me talk about it a million times, is they are so important. But I believe that they're probably one of the least understood things, especially with youth players. how you carry yourself. I mean, let's face it, we see it all over social media, the bat flips and the celebrating and this and that. And I can tell you right now, you do that on my team and things aren't going to go real well for you.
Right. Yeah. I always say, act like you've done it before.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really the big thing. Like, hey, it's if it's the one to win it for the national championship, okay.
Okay.
That would be the one I'll allow.
Yes.
But let's get there first.
Yeah. I have something very similar. I tell my players, you want to impress somebody, hit a double in the gap. Believe me.
Yes.
You'll impress somebody with that. So, all right, we
Yes.
got to cover just a couple of more things, and we kind of just touched on it a little bit with youth baseball. I want to get into just a little bit about that. So, your opinion, youth baseball. What's the state of youth baseball to you? Is it good? Is it going in the right direction? Are there issues? What do you think?
Well, I've always, when I was a high school coach, I did a lot of community baseball. I felt travel baseball was a great time when you're 13, that middle school age time, because of your growth and having fun with. Now, if you're going to travel even under the age of 13 or 13 and under, travel with your local kids that you're going to go to school with. Hang out with your buddies for the summer, the spring and the summer, but stay involved in your community, because you never know who's going to come and develop later on and be on your team in high school that didn't make this travel team or all-star team when you're growing up. And then that's a big thing I think people have really lost, is community baseball. And that's a travesty right now. And I think you're getting these all-star teams or these travel teams that are going on. Things are getting watered down. You're seeing 2 or 3 teams of the same age division for certain programs and that side of it. And so it's like, okay, which one is what? This player, why isn't he on this team when you go watch both teams play and he's better than the other ones there? So, I question some of that part of it. Yes, are we out watching those travel tournaments? Yeah, we are. I'll be honest. I mean, we are. But on that flip side of it, we're out seeing so many different tournaments that we feel has the caliber of the D2, D3 NAIA players out there. We do some homework and we get out there to see those kids. And we've seen some of the D1s. They've been around, those teams that have those D1 players. We've been around those. And, you can tell those kids that are going to be going from school to school for the D1s, or, what's going to happen there. But I just think it's too watered down right now with some of them that's going on. I wish it would take a step back, but unfortunately it's not going to.
Yeah. My biggest pet peeve is they don't practice enough. They don't.
That they definitely don't. Now, I will take you. I mean, I watched some of the American Legion stuff on TV lately, and I'll tell you what, and people, I saw something on Twitter about, hey, somebody said you don't think American Legion's any good. Well, guess what? I think I got 3 or 4 kids coming in to this class right now that played American Legion baseball this summer, and prior to it. Yeah. And no, American Legion baseball is really good. And there's definitely, those teams are good. There's some good players there.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing that makes me happy is that it's starting to come back. It's becoming more prevalent.
Yes, it is.
When I was a kid, okay, I know it was 800 years ago, but when I was a kid, that's all it was. You played high school ball, and then if you were good enough to play on a Legion team, you played on a Legion team. There was nothing else.
Yes, and I played back in the day where Connie Mack and the NABF was, you had to win to move on.
Yeah.
You had a league. Yes, we went to tournaments and played, but we had a tournament at the end of the year that we had to win to go on to the World Series or to regionals.
Yeah.
And so, that meant a lot. And now you tell people that, and, you tell some of your recruits and they're like, really, that's what had to happen? My own boys were surprised that, that, we went mostly the NABF side out of the Fort Wayne area. And so, they were surprised that happened.
Yeah, yeah, different world, right?
Yeah, sure is.
So, got to try and wrap this up now, but I have to ask you this question. So, when you look back on your career, okay, so, high school baseball, USA baseball, now Trine University, which experience had the greatest impact on the way you coach today?
Oh, to be honest with you, I'll probably have to tell you, probably my youth baseball. My dad was my coach back in the day. He's always been around, and he still is today. He's a guy that I can still talk to. So every part of that, even he even came to, not overseas, but came to the USA events when I was the pre-trials and all that stuff. I think all the way along the line, he's been there to help guide me through that. But as far as the experience on my impact of today, probably his influence has been the biggest. But I think I've carried it over to every level of it. In order to do my job today at Trine, USA's probably been the most um, influential side of that. The way I handle the players, high school has probably done that side of it on how I'm coaching them and teaching them and handling them, on that side of it. But is understanding the game of baseball and needing the fundamentals. It's probably back in my youth days with my dad being my coach on that side of it. So I've been pretty fortunate of all my, I was actually, I actually came home from the hospital and went right to the baseball field because my dad was coaching. And so I've been around the field since that time, a very long time. But so yeah, I mean, it's all part of that. But I think every part of that I've been fortunate to be around has gotten me to the position today at Trine, where we're still building. We're still, trying to get better every day as a staff, as players. Been fortunate with this university to give me the opportunity, and we're just going to keep going forward. I talked about academics earlier in the classroom. I mean, the ABCA, I'm a big member of that. We made the awards again. We've had the highest GPA that we've had here at the university for the ABCA, at a 3.56. So that's huge for us. Um, and so, that's probably been each spot has helped me out to where I'm at now.
Well, I'm going to say this. How long have you been the head coach at Trine? 2 years, 3 years?
Just 2 years. I'm
Two
going to
years.
enter my third.
Okay, so you've only been there 2 years, all right? But I have a sneaky suspicion that this is going to be something that's going to get better and better and better and better.
We are definitely working our tails off, Jimmy,
Yeah.
for that. That's for sure. Between the recruiting side and the practice schedules and all those little things in between and getting the right players here, and we're upfront and honest with them, and that's the one thing I tell the kids. And you talk about having a big number here, how we handle it. Kids, they may not play all four, but they understand that at 4 years when they graduate, we're there beside them. Recommendations are out for them. Kids that aren't finishing up for 4 years, they're good kids. There's nothing personal. They know that when they don't get in the lineup or they don't get put in on the lineup card during games, they don't make it up on varsity. They know it's not personal. As a young man, it's just how the program is being ran right now, and so that's a big part for us. And when they come back, and I'm very fortunate. I got two ex-players coming back and helping us coach this year.
That's great.
They reached out to us to come back. My assistant, Chris Rhodes, he was a head coach at DeKalb when I was his assistant. He came after he retired. He came to coach with me when I got the head position. I asked him, and we were on the same page.
Sure.
So it's really neat to put people around you, that we all see the same thing, the vision down the road, and we all want it to go forward. So that's pretty neat.
So if people wanted to reach out to you, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can go on the website, get on there with the baseball and email me. That's the best way to do that. I respond to emails. I'll get you links for other things that you need to either to visit, get a recruiting form filled out, check out more Trine, whatever info you may need. If you need some information on a certain school, I'll get a link. I'll get a professor's name. I'll get an email, whatever that may be. But, the best way is just to be able to email me at ratcliffeb@trine.edu. Again, that's just my last name, RATCLIFFEB as in boy @trine.edu. So, yeah, I mean, we're, like I said, we get, because I get different coaches. I love the fact that, I bounce things off of my colleagues. Trust me, we talk at ABCA, with those guys. I mean, there's times Butch gets a text from me every couple weeks of, hey, Butch, I got a question for you. Or, different guy, Drew Breezy, out of Center College, he's a staff with USA. And so we play them and things now. And so even Lunch McKenzie, hey, Lunch, we need to, I get up in Minnesota, we go eat dinner. So,
yeah, no, it's really, it's amazing. What you just said is, to me, is everything in what we do as baseball coaches. The ABCA, I sit on the youth committee. All of the guys that are on the youth committee, what you just said, we talk to each other. It's not every day, but every once in a while, hey, bud, how are you? What's going on? Da-da-da-da-da.
yeah.
Matter of fact, when I met Ryan was through one of Sheets's Diamond Coaches Development, and those guys were always texting also. It's
Yes.
it's a fraternity that
Absolutely.
that is, it's fantastic because everybody respects each other. Everybody's trying to help each other, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely fraternity, and I really see that everybody does respect each other, and they all want to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's little things, just or not even learning that, picking up some. Sometimes it's a confirmation that, oh my goodness, I am doing this right, because you know what they're doing. Eric Borba's doing it out in California, or RJ Farrell's doing it out there. Yes, or Dave Webb's doing it. Tanner Vesley, those guys, that I reach out to. They're doing it in all their places. So, hey, I am doing something right, or that just confirms that you're doing it. So yeah, it's pretty neat. And then they'll return and like, hey, this is what I did. I liked what you were doing. I picked this up, and or hey, you really made me think about that situation.
Yeah, I have said it a million times, that, hey, I've talked to so-and-so and I mentioned this and he validated what I thought. And again, to me, that means everything, that when somebody says, hey, yeah,
Yes.
you're doing it right,
Yes.
or, and I'm the kind of person, I'm sure you're the same way. If I'm not doing it right and somebody says to me, hey, Jim, why don't you think about this? I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So, well,
Yes.
Brent, I got to tell you, this was fantastic. I really enjoyed the conversation. I mean, the hour flew by. I mean, we're actually over an hour, and
Wow.
it seemed like a few minutes. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
No, Jimmy, thank you. I'm honored to be on here. I know your guests you've had and stuff, and really appreciate what you're doing. I've listened to multiples of these prior to you even reaching out and that side, and I just keep doing it because it's very helpful, and you're making an impact out there. So, yeah, great job, man. Keep it up.
Well, thank you very much. I'm humbled for, thank you very much for that. So,
Yes,
yeah, we'll stay in touch and
absolutely.
have a good night.
All right, you too. Thank you.
All righty. So as we wrap this one up, there were a lot of great takeaways from my conversation with Coach Ratcliffe. But I think the word that kept coming back to me throughout the entire conversation was development. Develop the whole program, not just the players helping you win today. Teach before you hold your players accountable. We talked about it where, you really can't jump on a kid and hold them accountable for something that you never taught them. Another thing, don't skip the fundamentals just because players get older. All right. We talked a little bit about how, yes, high school baseball, youth baseball is developmental, but even at the college level, you still need to work on the fundamentals. The fundamentals are everything in the game. And we also have to understand development. We talk about development all the time. People throw that word around all the time, but actually development is a process. Whether we're talking about hitting, fielding, leadership, or becoming a young man, there really aren't any shortcuts. I love when we talked about his path to becoming a college coach, and it reminds me of the phrase, be where your feet are. I think that the path that he took actually proves that point, that do the best you can where you are, and then most likely things will fall into place so that you can keep climbing that ladder. So, this is something that I think a lot of people have to realize is, take care of business where you are. We talked a little bit about developing players at the high school level, freshman, sophomore, juniors, seniors, all together. Coach Ratcliffe believes in the same principle. By doing that, you're building your program, not your team. Another thing that stood out to me is when he talked about nothing being guaranteed. Every returning player has to earn their numbers back, he said. The veteran players reinforce culture by practicing hard themselves and teaching younger players, essentially saying, if you want my job, this is the standard that you have to reach. This is the way we do things. We talk about that all the time. So, to wrap everything up, Coach Ratcliffe is just another one of the great coaches out there. If you can't see that from everything he's been involved in, these things don't happen by accident. High school baseball, USA baseball, college baseball. He's coached at every level, all across the board. And it's just something that doesn't happen by accident. So I think there's a lesson there for all of us as coaches. Our players aren't the only ones who should still be developing. We should be developing right alongside our players. Keep learning, keep teaching, keep getting better, and most importantly, keep putting players first. So, if you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Visit the website at thectbshow.net. Listen to your favorite episodes and please leave us a review. You can also reach out to the show on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and get this, the old man has finally got us on TikTok. Keeps me young. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover, please drop us an email at clearingthebases@gmail.com. Your feedback helps us bring you the best content and reach more people in the baseball community just like you. And also, let me know if you'd like to be a guest. Until then, coaches and players, keep practicing, stay positive, and remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one.